In today's episode, we have Yazan Tadros with us, and he is going to share his journey from teaching mathematics in a classroom into transitioning to a digital space. You will also get to hear his views on the importance of teaching math at an early age, his mathematical formula for the perfect learning experience, and a great method for keeping both children and adults entertained when taking an online course. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Online Course Igniter podcast, where you'll hear from successful course creators and how they were able to turn their passion into a thriving online business empire. Mathematics. It's that lovely art. It's that intersection between the imaginary and the real. It's when variables dance to that rhythm, trending with others, making predictions of future as clear as the sun rising tomorrow. Core of life, music, and nature. Lucky those mastering that art. That quote comes from our guest today, Yazan Tadros, who is with us from the School of Math Achievers. Happy to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be with the show with you guys.
Yes, definitely. I'm glad you reached out, and I'm excited to hear about your story into online courses and what you teach. And just, I think it's going to be a great show today. And I always like to start the show at the beginning just to get a little background from our guest. And so if you could just take a couple minutes and just let us know, what is your background? How did you get into online courses? And maybe what were you doing before you got into online courses?
Yeah, I would be very happy to share my story with you. I guess my story is I'm gifted from God in mathematics. When I was 5 years old, I used to calculate numbers having 3 digits. So they discovered that I have a high IQ in mathematics. And since then, my love for mathematics began. And you can know now that I've grown up. Now I'm 29 years old. I taught math. I've been teaching math since more than 11 years by now. I was enrolled. I worked as a math teacher, and I worked in the different digital products on mathematics subject. Now what I'm doing exactly, I have Math Achievers since the 2017. I started Math Achievers to teach mathematics to teenagers and school students. I believe that my mission that I want to teach mathematics my own way. I started teaching mathematics in my country, in Jordan. I realized that the students, they really enjoy the classes. They really understand math better. And my dream always to teach mathematics my own way to the whole world. So I started thinking of going global by having my own digital academy for mathematics. And since I have a very rich experience in the IBDP program, I started a digital academy, which is very recent actually for the IB diploma program. It's for high school students. And the latest release that I have, which is very new, it was 1 week ago, we went live. It was a mental math program for kids, where kids, they learn mathematics through games. And I've done this because I believe that if you want to learn math well, you need to have a very solid foundation since very, very, very early as a kid. So if you're a kid, you're 3 or 4 years old, you need to be taught math really well to have a great foundation. So that's why lately I'm focusing on that age group, because I believe that age group is where magic happens. And that's why I came up with my new release, which is mental math program for kids, where it has 6 levels. Now we came up with the level number 1. They learn mathematics through games. This is my vision. This is what I want to do in my life. It started as a dream. It is still a dream, but with goals. Maybe we're starting humble at the time being, but definitely I believe that one day Math Achievers will go global, that I can leave an impact on students and on the kids because I want them to learn mathematics joyfully. I want them to have joy learning math. And this is actually the pain where many students and many kids, they don't want to learn math because they don't enjoy it. And that's the gap that I want to bridge. And another gap that I want to bridge, I want everyone to know what's the importance of mathematics for students and in our real life, because many people they just know that math is just doing calculations and substituting in some formulas and so on. They don't realize the importance in real life. Many students they always ask me the question, what can I do with mathematics in real life? They just don't understand the fact that I always tell them, as a sports player, he needs to exercise in order to perform well. Mathematics is the same as the exercise, but for the brain. It makes you think better, it makes your imagination better, and it makes your life in general better, even though you don't have to do direct mathematics in your life. And I believe that when we can teach mathematics in a joyful way and teach mathematics while focusing on the skills of math, the deep skills since early childhood, this is where we achieve our aim in having the students having better imagination, having better thinking skills, they can plan better for their lives and so on. So this is what I want to do. This is my vision. And I started my vision by having my very nice product at the moment, which is a mental math program for kids. It's a great academy. The kids will enjoy solving problems through games, through the animated videos, the storyline. And by the end of this product, we can tell them that, yes, you are a level 1 hero, you are a math genius.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. There's a couple things that I heard that I really want to touch on. And one of the biggest things that I heard in your story is the application of mathematics. And coming from the United States, and I'm a little older than you are, but going through, middle school and high school here in the States, we were drilled these formulas into our heads. You had to memorize the formulas and the equations, but no one ever really talked about the application of those formulas or how we could apply them to our daily life. And I feel like that's a major disservice to people, because when students are just sitting there learning formulas and math and they don't understand why you are learning these, I just think that it's a major problem. It wasn't until I got older where I kind of realized some of the formulas I had learned previously in my childhood that I could apply to things that I was doing. And so I think that that's really cool that you talk on that, because I don't feel like there's enough of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely not enough of that, because they teach mathematics in schools for the sake of scoring well in exams, not for the sake of preparing them to life. Students nowadays, they want to know the why before anything else. And if you want to teach them math, and your why is so that you can score well in your exam and you can have a better life, that's not a convincing why. In school, many students or some of the students will use the formulas and apply them directly in their lives. Many will understand that everything happens around us. In data science, artificial intelligence, in economics, everything just relates to math. But always students, they ask you, I don't want to become an economist. I don't want to have a career in artificial intelligence. I don't want to do data science. I tell them, fine, you don't want to do all of this, but even if you want to be an artist and you want to have a clear imagination, you need to do math, because the math is the practice for the brain to have whatever the outcome that you want to do. The math is always the practice for the brain. I want to give some detailed example so I can explain my point. Because I watch soccer, I know in the US maybe it's about the NBA, right? It's basketball. Mm-hmm. Yes, I can give this example about the basketball. I always tell them in the training of the basketball players, they not only they do the shooting training, they run and they do the fitness exercises. And
Right.
fitness has nothing to do with the basketball skills. Why would they do this? And I asked them another question. If they don't have the right level of fitness, would they perform well? I asked them if the player is tired, would he shoot properly? They will say no. So I tell them it's exactly why you need mathematics for your brain. It's for the fitness of your brain. It's always in the back end, it's hidden, but it helps you to take better decisions, to think well. That's why we do math, even though you don't apply any type of formula. But mathematics creates the links inside of your brain so you can think well, even think well in everything, in all of your decisions, to be a logical thinker. What's the fitness for the brain to do this? It's the math, it's what's going on inside, the way of thinking that you don't realize. That's why we need math. And this is why actually we need math. The problem these days that in schools they don't tell you this. They don't tell you why it is very important to learn math properly. And many applications now, many discoveries, it's just because of the discovering of the brain functionality. I can tell you another example about artificial intelligence. AIs is very capable, artificial intelligence, in classifying data. And this relates when you teach kids in the kindergarten to classify. If you give them a cube and a sphere and another sort of shapes, once they classify, they can add the cubes together because they are cubes. Or they can classify, they add a red cube with a red sphere. They can classify them because they have the same color. All of this, maybe it sounds to be a very simple exercise. All of our sciences today is built on these practices. So it's a thin line that matches these simple exercises to our very complex algorithms that is running our life today. So that's why we learn mathematics. And it's very important for the students to understand the why, because that's what they want to hear, and they are not getting sufficient answers.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and you're absolutely right. Mathematics, I believe, has been around forever and has affected us in so many ways. But even as technology increases, it just seems like it's becoming more important. And it's funny, you reminded me of a story where I teach my kids music once a week. So we homeschool them and they go through their normal homeschooling program, but we wanted to teach them some music. And I come from a music background. And so the other day, it was like a week or two ago, I was helping my son and I had the whiteboard out and I was teaching him, the notes on the staff. And I started showing him the steps and the intervals in mathematical terms. And he goes, Dad, I thought we were learning about music today. I didn't know we were going to learn about math. And I said, well, son, music is math. It's the essence of music. It's all, frequencies and intervals. And it's just amazing how math does play such an important role in our lives. And I totally agree what you said. Practicing these skills can really just increase your brain activity and the ability to just solve problems in general. I never knew at a young age that one of the things that I would be good at would be just solving problems. And I never correlated math with that until I got older. And I realized, it takes kind of a mathematical brain to be able to look at problems, whether they're just, everyday regular life problems, and be able to solve those from a mathematical standpoint. So that's really cool. I wanted to go ahead and talk about your mental math for kids course that you've created. And I like that you said that it's evolved around using games and things like that to help teach. So, can you talk a little bit more about how that course is structured, and particularly how do you use games to help teach math? Because I feel like this could help other course creators, not just in the mathematic or scientific realm, but just course creators in general.
Yeah. I have just my own formula for learning. If you want to, for the learner to have the best learning experience, I can formulate it like this. The learning experience is simply equal to the willingness to learn times the content. So this is my formula for a learning experience. It's willingness to learn times content. And if you do the simple math, if you have a great content out there, it's just a great written content, and there is no willingness to learn. Let's say we have for the great content, it's 100%, and the willingness to learn is only a 5%. Just do a very simple math, and you can find that the learning experience outcome is just a 5%. What I want to do here is, you asked me about the games, is I want to level up that willingness to learn through the games. So if the kids, they see games, they want to finish up this game, so they can have the rewards through this game, and that will increase the willingness to the highest levels. So that's why we need to find very, very, very innovative and creative solutions to enrich or elevate that willingness to learn. And that's why the parents lately, they are suffering, especially with what's happening today, because access to games and access to media is very high. How could you convince your kid not to watch a YouTube video or something and go learn math? Because learning math is extremely boring for them. And it's not their fault it's boring, it's our fault. So we have to do our best that the learning experience won't be boring for them. So it's fun and learn. It's not only learn, they have to enjoy their time. If they don't enjoy, then there is a big problem. And I believe that not everyone has that gift, because I can relate from my own story that I'm gifted in math. I had an extraordinary curiosity and love for math. That's why I learned my math my own way since I was a kid. But I don't believe all people, they have this. They don't. So they find math boring. They shouldn't find it so. So we have to put our efforts. We shouldn't make it boring. How we can't make it boring? Through a gamified approach, through a storyline. They see a story, they learn math through games, and that's all what I'm trying to do with Math Achievers. We need to make the learning experience very fun for the kids.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There is actually a game that my daughter and my son play that's a mathematical game that the school gave them. And it's one of these games, it's like a role-playing game where you have a character and you fight monsters and stuff. But to beat the monsters and beat the levels, you have to do mathematical equations. I thought that was kind of interesting. But what types of games are you including in your course, and how are you going about putting those in your course for the students to learn? What does the actual games themselves look like?
In the course, we have actually 10 games. One of them is like a coin fishing game. You fish for the coin, you take it if you solve the question properly, and you have a score. Other game is like you have to shoot the dragon. Another one, you have to save a character called Subtrot from the dragon. Another one, you have to shoot the math ball, so in order to score a goal. So this one was very nice actually, because if you solve the question right and you shoot at the goal, it scores. So this is great. I like it personally. I'm 29 years old. I enjoy it. Another one is finding the rewards. So we tried our best, even the games, not to have only one game, different games. So the students, because in the course you can see it, we are teaching 27 concepts. So we tried our best between a concept and another concept to have the kids excited, because every time they will see a new game, they will hear new sounds, they will see a new mission. This is very nice for them, and it will never make it boring again. And I actually I wanted to talk more about the course curriculum because many people, once we talk about math, they think math is only about numbers, counting, adding, subtracting, and so on. But actually, it's not. Math, is, especially in the early childhood, it's highly integrated with some sort of language. So in the course curriculum, we can find counting, counting in twos, counting in tens, counting in fives, counting in fours. But you can see another concept which is more or less. This is also considered as math. And the number lines, number yes. Also, we teach them groups and sets. So this is considered within the mathematics skills. If you see an apple and another orange, they don't refer to the same group. If you see an apple, a green apple and a red apple, another red apple, then the red apples, they are classified in one group. This is also math. We teach fractions, we teach ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers like this is first, this is second, this is third, who comes first, who comes second, who comes third. Moreover, we teach greater than and less than, heavier, lighter, longer, shorter, taller. We teach also before and after. Another very important thing that we teach also how to read the clock. We reach time, a clock half past, quarter to, and we teach the calendar, the days, because the days come in a sequence. They have to know that the week has 7 days. They have to know it starts from Sunday, then Monday, then Tuesday. And this is considered within the math, within the mathematical skills. So this is what we teach. It's like core for what the brain needs in order to excel in life. So it's just everything. We teach counting, we teach comparison skills, addition definitely, subtraction, the zero number, the place value, fractions, just everything we are doing in one course.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a great course that you've put together. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that could benefit this, especially for the fact that you are teaching it in a way that is applicable to life in general. And it's not just, formulas and equations, but you're actually showing kids and students how they can actually use this in their everyday life and in their ability to read time and read the calendar and so forth. Hello, course creators. Are you struggling with marketing and selling your online course? If so, then head over to our free community where successful course creators are ready to help you create, market, and sell your expertise. Go to onlinecourseigniter.com/community now to join. That's onlinecourseigniter.com/community. So let's move into a little bit of the marketing. I would like to know how are you getting students at this point? I know you said that this one program is a little newer, but when I think about a program for children, to me, I have this kind of roadblock because for me, I've always sold to adults, and it was rather easy. But what are some of the methods or strategies that you've thought of to try to get people enrolled into this program?
Yeah. The most important method for me, because I want always to ensure that there is a quality in the marketing. So already we have the affiliate program infrastructure embedded in and everything. But away from this, we are going to focus so much on the content marketing. We want to focus on having the free added value for the moms, teaching them how to teach their kids in every aspect, how to enhance their imagination, how to enhance their thinking skills. Why would they benefit from this course? So our media is mainly about the development of the kid. And I guess this is what the real marketing is, because the moms, they want to have an added value for them. They want to have a free added value first, then they can divert to the course. They want to understand you. They want to trust you. Because in education, the parents have to trust you. There must be trust. You can't just buy any educational product out there. It is that they need to trust that you are teaching their kids well. So there is a big focus on the content marketing. There are different marketing strategies which we will focus on, like the affiliate marketing, of course. The affiliate marketing, because it's a great tool for a B2C marketing, because the reach will be much bigger. You might lose a big percent of the sales, but that's fine. That's very fine for me because it ensures quality. Another strategy is definitely Facebook and Facebook ads. It's targeting the moms and telling them why you should teach your kids this course. Another part of the marketing that I told you about is the content marketing, definitely our YouTube channel and our articles. And all the articles will focus on the child development. And from there, we will be diverting the traffic to the course. That's what I believe is the right thing to do. And I know, but marketing is very agile. So we have to keep pivoting and we have to change our strategies once we have more data.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that's a great strategy. So you are creating content aimed at the parents of the children and how these programs can help them. And then through that marketing efforts, then you can direct them back to your course and say, we have the material available to help your child learn these, mathematics and strategies and so forth.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, very cool. Now, quick question. Have you ever thought about marketing to, say, schools? Like, have you thought about taking these courses back to where you were teaching before or any schools in your country and seeing if you would be able to provide this information for them at a bigger level?
Yes, definitely. This is one part of the marketing, yes, which is the B2B marketing. Yeah. We approach schools through presentation. And definitely for schools, once because they buy for a big number of students at once, they get very discounted packages. Yeah, and this is a very important aspect. Yes, we have our own data. We approach them, we present the solution to them, and yes, we can move forward. Yeah, this is also considered as a strategy. Yeah. But the big part is the B2C, which is already the platform is business to consumer directly. This is where the vision is and the big focus is.
Gotcha. And you've already started some of these channels, like you already have your YouTube channel available?
Yeah, yes, I have actually two YouTube channels, one for the IBDP for the high school students and a very new one for the mental math program for kids. And since the product is very new, we started recently in drafting some marketing material, and definitely we work more on our channel. Yes, I guess the YouTube channel is our asset today for the marketing. It will drive all the traffic from there.
Now, how do you come up with the content to put on that YouTube channel? I know you're marketing toward the parents, toward the moms, to help them understand why this is important. But when it comes down to really figuring out like what kind of videos you're going to create, how do you figure that out?
My main focus on the video is to have a really a great content that can add value for the moms, and focusing on the development at that early stage is like, how can you teach your kid how to classify? How can you teach your kid how to count properly? How can you teach him imagination skill? How can you teach him reasoning? How can you teach him some skills? How can you motivate the brain of your child? How can you make sure that his brain is healthy, is growing well? All of that material, yes, is drafted because already in Math Achievers, we are working on this material and already we have our own curriculum in teaching kids from the ages 4 to 6 how to for teaching them critical thinking, logical reasoning, language processing, and so on, all in one curriculum. So already we have the infrastructure and everything that we need in order to draft that content for marketing.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when someone goes to these videos, like say a mom out there finds one of your videos and they watch that video, where are you sending her from that point? Are you just directing her to the landing page of the course? Are you sending her to a website? Do you have some kind of free offer? What does that look like after they leave YouTube?
Yeah, most probably I will make them go to the landing page of the course, and I don't have any step before the video and the course. They can go to the course, and through the course they have a free preview, and I don't have another step before they're doing the course, because that would be too much of already they are getting the added value from the content, so there is no some sort of intermediary, no.
Right. Yeah. They're watching this. You've explained to them in the video the importance of why they need to help their child learn these mathematical skills, and from there you direct them straight into that course. Now, is this course is it like a single course with lectures, or are you doing a membership type program where you have multiple courses or multiple modules? What does that look like?
No, it's a single course. It has 27 mathematical concepts, which means it has 27 concepts explained in a very nice storyline animated video. After each concept in this course, there are 10 questions, 10 gamified questions. So the kids first they learn the concept. In the video also we solve an example on the concept, and then they practice the concept in 10 questions. So by the end of this course, the kids will solve 270 questions. This is a dense course actually, which is very nice, very. And then at the end of the course, they will take a very nice certificate. So the kids they will be joyfully sharing it with others. It's like you are a level one hero. You're now a level one genius in math. Great job. You are our hero. You know, the kids, they like this stuff, and this is very encouraging for them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I did notice that you've mentioned the course having a storyline. You've said that a couple times.
Yeah.
So, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by the course has a storyline inside of it?
Yeah. We have the characters. It is Divina, which is, I guess, her special skill is subtraction. That's Subtrot. Yeah, Subtrot, his special skill is subtraction. We have Multiplore, whose his special skill is multiplication. Divina, whose special skill is division. And there is a character about addition. I forgot its name. Also, these are the good characters. And there is a dragon, which is called Calcultro. And the whole storyline is becoming a math achiever's hero and to defeat Calcultron. So that's why you learn math in order to be capable of defeating him.
Okay, awesome. I love this. So you are really tailoring this program in a lot of different ways. You're providing information. You have this storyline, which really gets children and even adults involved, because a storyline really helps drive this information across. And then you have this gamification aspect where you can actually get in there and have achievements and get a certificate based off your accomplishments. And I just really want to emphasize that fact, because when I talk to other course creators, they leave out those steps. If I'm teaching a software, or if I'm teaching something that's technical, we don't think about a storyline. We don't think about gamification, and I think that those are important aspects, not just for children, but for anyone of all ages, because I feel like it really helps drive the student from the beginning to the end, instead of me just sitting there teaching you how to use email marketing software or how to use Photoshop or something like that.
Yeah, this is very important. And there are different gamification techniques, even for grown-ups. Because maybe I tell it something nice because I have a rich experience in edtech, because this is the domain that I'm working on. And even for grown-ups, there are different gamification techniques, of course. There is a very nice book. It's called Hooked. I don't know if you read it. It's wonderful. It talks about gamification and how to make any platform addictive. Yeah, Hooked is a very nice book. I just recommend anyone who is interested in gamification and how to gamify any type of product or even a service, if it can be gamified, to read this book.
Yeah, definitely. I have not read it, and I love reading, so I'll definitely check that book out, and we'll put the book link in the show notes. So if anyone wants to check that out, they can do that. And then say we're talking to other course creators out there right now through this podcast. Someone's listening right now, and they have a course. And maybe that course might be on something random. It could be, woodworking or playing the guitar or how to use a piece of software or programming. It could be any number of niches out there that someone is listening to right now. With your years of experience in teaching and coming into the digital world and also teaching, is there any advice that you could give other course creators out there that would help make their course better?
Yeah, they have to make sure that they digitize their experience properly. They have a big value. They have to make sure that their digitized form ensures that this educational value comes out to the learner. They have to make sure that this comes out whatever it takes. They shouldn't have any type of compromise on this. They should do whatever it takes in order to digitize properly. And in digitization, there are different methods of digitizing your course, actually, depending on your need. So that's a big thing to consider. And they have to consider one very important thing, that when you design a curriculum to write a book, or you want or you prepare for a session which is face to face, that's completely different than the digital world. Once you design a curriculum or you design a learning material which is digital, that's a completely different landscape. So they should get advice from someone who has experience of how to digitize your learning material and to ensure the educational value is attained through these digital channels.
Nice. I like that. And it goes back to your formula for learning, right? Your willingness to learn times the content, correct?
Yes, the willingness is very important because many people, they are not willing to learn online.
Awesome. Perfect. So, you mentioned earlier in the beginning that you wanted to go global and really reach a bigger audience. But just thinking a couple years out, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out, where do you see your platform going? What would you like to accomplish in the next coming years?
My goal is to have hundred thousands of users, especially in the kids. And I want also my YouTube channel to go viral regarding the child development. This is where I want to go. I didn't specify any country, but always I've seen the US as a good space to expand, and I might be there somewhere. Nobody knows. There are like some small plans to have some branch there. I don't know what life hides for me, or
Well, Yazan, we just appreciate you so much. You are doing a great service to the world, especially here in the United States. I can speak because I live here and I grew up with the system here, and I just feel like that some of the schooling system is broken, and there are things that need to be adjusted and corrected so that we can teach at a better level, so that people are getting a better education, and like you said, that so the students understand that the things that they're learning has real world results that they can get through mathematics and through science and through all these different academia. So we just really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your story and your knowledge. And if people wanted to find out more about you and your business, where can they do that?
maybe I can send you the link to the mental math course. So I want them to enjoy it. I don't want to send many links. Moreover, I can send you the link to my LinkedIn, and by there they can see my personal professional profile, and they can have also the link to the mental math course. I guess that would be great.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, we will make sure that we put those in the show notes for you. And just thank you for coming on the show today. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be with you. I'm really glad that I'm here on the show, and we had a very nice conversation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Yazan. You can find out more about him and his business by visiting mathachievers.com, or you can get the show notes of this episode along with links and resources by visiting onlinecourseigniter.com/32. Take care, everyone, and have a great week. Thank you for tuning in to the Online Course Igniter podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening so that you don't miss an episode. If you would like to learn more marketing strategies and how to sell your online course, then also check out our free community where we share tips, tricks, and tutorials at onlinecourseigniter.com/community.